Good afternoon. A 12-year-old boy is facing multiple charges, including attempted murder after a Toronto police officer was struck by a car and shots were fired on the vehicle.
It happened after police responded to reports of a stolen vehicle in the city's East End. CTV's Beth MacDonell has been following the investigation and joins us live now with more. Beth.
Nathan, residents are calling this whole situation upsetting and distressing. It involves a 12-year-old driver accused of striking a police officer. All of this playing out between 1 and 1:30 this morning around East York and the Leaside Bridge. The Special Investigations Unit says a vehicle was stolen and two police cruisers tried to box in that stolen vehicle, and then the driver tried to flee, and at that point there was contact made between the suspect and the police officer. This is when we believe the police officer was struck by that 12-year-old driver. Multiple shots by police were then fired at the vehicle. The 12-year-old boy driver then took off from the area from the Leaside Bridge and abandoned the vehicle nearby near Floyd and Donlands. I spoke with residents in that area. They told me they heard what it sounded like, young people running, and heard them saying, "I got to get away from the cops." I also spoke with people there who say they saw police officers with assault rifles using flashlights. Now, the SIU says there were also two other occupants in the vehicle with that 12-year-old driver, another 12-year-old and a 13-year-old. The driver was, the 12-year-old then was apprehended on foot near Mortimer and Donlands. He was taken to hospital and is being treated for serious non-life-threatening injuries. The officer that was struck back on the bridge was also treated for injuries and then released.
On Leaside Bridge, the two police officers, or actually four police officers, two in each vehicle, tried to stop the driver of the stolen vehicle on Leaside Bridge, and the driver tried to flee. And then in the course of that, there was contact made with a police officer and that vehicle, and then there were multiple shots fired at the vehicle. The driver took off and abandoned the car a short distance away and then was apprehended on foot a short time later.
I went to bed around, I guess about 1 o'clock, and I remember just getting ready that I heard these three pops in our bedroom, and I thought it sounded like somebody was building something or hammering something, and I never thought much more of it. And then this morning I got up and discover this, and it's very, very upsetting to see this sort of thing happen in our neighborhood.
My daughter was quick to react on it. You know, she came out and she saw the cops, and she said there was shooting. She was pretty sure she heard some shooting, and before you know it, the cops started showing up.
The SIU says the 12-year-old boy that was driving is now facing several charges, including attempted murder. The other 12 and 13-year-old, we're not sure exactly which one, but one was apprehended. The other is still out there, and police are looking for that teen or boy. Reporting live, I'm Beth MacDonell. Michelle and Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. And police are searching for suspects in connection with a deadly hit-and-run and brawl in North York. 32-year-old Eric Safar was struck by a vehicle after a fight broke out near Keele and Wilson early yesterday morning. Safar died at the scene. Police initially responded to reports of a large fight in the Keele and Wilson area around 6 in the morning Sunday. Investigators say Safar was assaulted before being struck by a vehicle which left the scene. Police have not provided details about possible suspects, but are urging everyone involved to surrender themselves.
Two people have been injured in a stabbing in Mississauga last night. This incident happening just after 11 in the area of Mississauga Road and Dundas Street. One person was taken to a trauma center with serious injuries, while a second person suffered minor injuries. Police have not provided details at this stage about possible suspects. They are asking anyone who might have information to come forward.
The city of Brampton outlined its event and safety plans for Canada Day.
This comes after incidents with fireworks during Victoria Day celebrations over the Victoria Day long weekend. Our John Musselman joins us live now with more on the plan. John.
Well, Michelle, they had a news conference here at Brampton City Hall. Mayor Patrick Brown was here. Some councillors, also police, were represented by Peel Regional Police. And you're right, they want to avoid a repeat of what happened here on the long weekend in May. We have some video of that. At Jacuzzi Park, there were multiple arrests made when people started shooting off fireworks, aiming them towards other people. And at this juncture, police are saying this is just far too dangerous. And a number of arrests were made and charges laid. So they're trying to make sure this doesn't happen again. Peel Regional Police saying there will be bag checks at certain points before people are allowed into Jacuzzi Park. And this is a huge area in Brampton, a big park where the Canada Day celebrations take place. We had a chance to hear from Mayor Patrick Brown on this, as well as the staff superintendent with Peel Regional Police. Here's what they had to tell us.
We've had past celebrations in the city where fireworks were abused. It's why this council took the decision to prohibit fireworks. We've seen a massive reduction in the firework use since we passed that bylaw. We also have bylaw assisting with enforcement of that. Unfortunately, on Victoria Day, obviously there was some very reckless use of fireworks by some young people who clearly need to give their head a shake. And several of them were charged. And so I think there's lessons learned from Victorian Day to make sure they don't have those same safety risks. Fireworks can be very dangerous if used inappropriately, and we'll be taking all precautions.
And we will have checkpoints. There'll be controlled entrances and exits. So we are allowing for food and water and drinks to come in, no alcohol, and your bags will be checked when you enter.
Now, as far as police and city officials here in Brampton are concerned, this is all about safety for families, for kids who are coming to the park to celebrate Canada Day. They do not want to put anyone in harm's way with people behaving badly with fireworks. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. A police funeral for OPP Constable Taryn Bally will be held in Mississauga on Thursday. The service will be attended by Bally's family and members of the OPP, as well as other first responders and dignitaries. It will not be open to the public. Bally died after being struck by a vehicle last Tuesday in the northern Ontario town of Hearst while searching for a man who had escaped from a hospital. The 29-year-old had been serving with the OPP for 2.5 years. And a procession was held yesterday to honor Toronto Police Constable Mark Pinizzato. He died in hospital after being shot while executing a search warrant in North York on Thursday. A motorcade escorted his body from the chief coroner's office to a funeral home in Thornhill. Details for his funeral have not been announced.
Still to come, American and Iranian officials say they've agreed on a framework for a deal to end nearly 4 months of war. We'll have those details a little later in the newscast. But first, the TTC is launching an interactive live map pilot program. The transit agency says the live map will provide an interactive view of subway and LRT service across its network. Bus and streetcar routes are set to be added in an update later this year. The map features real-time service status, including outages and disruptions, as well as subway station information. The TTC says it will seek customer feedback before launching the final version of the map. The tool can be accessed on the TTC website. While Team Canada is not in action today, World Cup watch parties are being held across the city.
This afternoon, Spain is taking on Cabo Verde in the first match of the tournament for both teams. Our Jessica Smith joins us live now from a watch party at El Catrin in the Distillery District. Jess.
This is the best place to be, Michelle and Nathan, because you've got that kind of authentic flair to this restaurant. I'm here with Chef Jose. Obviously, it has been so much fun, I'm sure, watching the world come to this restaurant. But what has it been like seeing people rocking their jerseys, coming through? I'm sure, obviously, when Mexico was playing, it was a really good time. But what has it been like seeing the world come to the restaurant?
So exciting. It's you can see the cultures, the passion. You can feel it through the distillery. You walk around, all the jerseys, everyone cheering for different teams. It's really lively and exciting just to walk around here, the whole city, but in the distillery, it's concentrated. It's amazing.
And there's watch parties, there's screens everywhere in the distillery and in the restaurant as well. And you've also got food that is themed towards kind of the World Cup and representing different authentic flavors. Talk to me about what we have on the table here.
Well, we have the margarita flight, but this is the ole ole board. Ole 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 comes from the chants that people, Mexican people sing in the stadium when our team is playing. Ole ole. So that's where it comes from. And it's an array of sauces, dips. There's crispy pork belly. There's chicharron. There's Stilton cheese and Oaxaca cheese empanadas, roasted tomato salsa, guacamole. So a nice variety that you can snack through the game, easy to share, easy to put it in the table and together with your margaritas, support your team. And like you were saying, there's screens through the patio. There's 50 screens in the distillery. You can also go to Madrina, Paella, support Spain. They're playing today. Pure Spirits has a 140-inch screen where you can also watch it. So everywhere here in the distillery, but at El Catrin, we're displaying the Mexican flavors.
There's such a connection between culture and food. We'll have more later on throughout the show. We'll send things back inside to the studio, but the game is going on behind us. We got some fans here representing, lots of excitement here. But for now, we'll send things back inside.
Thank you. Oh, what a way to spend the afternoon. And the weather is cooperating, gorgeous for a patio, gorgeous for hitting a soccer pitch or just exploring our city. No doubt a whole bunch of tourists are in town. We've got a game this Wednesday. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Can we keep this coming? It's a little fresh, but very comfortable.
We will take the sunshine, won't we, Michelle? And I think for many, yes, a nice break from the heat and humidity compared to most days last week. There's a little bit of active weather, though, that we're going to watch for this week. Not right now. All is dry. It's pretty clear on the satellite and radar. We do have some cloudiness in places, not so much for the GTA. It's quite nice at this hour. 16 degrees is our current temperature. It's 19 in Windsor, but that's about as warm as it gets. We have a northwest wind that's going to keep us feeling a little cooler today, below seasonal, in fact. Gusty winds in places also. We can expect gusts to near 50 kilometers per hour into tomorrow. It is, though, a nice day to head outside, enjoy a run. Forecast daytime high 21. Average temperature this time of year is 24 degrees, and we're at a 7 on the UV index. Coming up, we're going to talk about when we have a chance of showers and a risk of thunderstorms. It's all ahead, but for now, Nathan and Michelle, I'm going to send it back over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, the first weekend of the World Cup is in the history books, and it's been a whirlwind already. CTV's Renee Rogers has been following the tournament. She joins us live now with the latest. Renee, let's talk about this first weekend of the World Cup, and let's start with Team Canada and how they're doing.
That's right. Hi, Michelle. It's a little bit of a quieter day on the FIFA front here in Canada today with no games scheduled on our soil, but it was quite a big difference on the weekend when Canada saw a number of firsts, and one of them being, of course, Canada's first World Cup men's match on Canadian soil played at Toronto Stadium. That game resulted in another first for Canada, our first ever FIFA World Cup point, with the game against Bosnia-Herzegovina ending in a draw. That game was played in front of a crowd of 43,002, and that is 34 seats short of capacity. There had been a lot of questions raised about the number of tickets that were still available heading into the match. We now know it was a total of 34 empty seats on that first match. And then on Saturday, Vancouver got its first taste of World Cup action when Australia spoiled Turkey's return to the tournament for the first time in 24 years with a 2-0 victory. Now, as for Team Canada, they now move from Toronto to Vancouver for their next 2 group stage games. They play next on Thursday. They're up against Qatar. Today, they are taking to the practice pitch for some training after a day of rest.
Just an exciting time for our city and this country. And just a day after the U.S. and Iran signing a peace deal, Iran's soccer team is playing its first game of the tournament in the U.S. tonight. Let's talk about the significance of that.
Yes, this is a very big deal for a few reasons. For months now, there was uncertainty about whether Iran would even participate in the World Cup matches. And now they will play a game tonight against New Zealand in the U.S. At the Los Angeles Stadium. And of course, the months-long war in Iran, plus yesterday's newly announced peace deal, is going to be top of mind during that game. It was late February that the U.S. and Israel launched that war in Iran, and as a result, Iran ended up moving its World Cup practice headquarters from Arizona into Mexico at a time when the U.S. was denying visas for some members of the Iranian Soccer Federation. But now the team will be playing this game. It is still not allowed to stay in the U.S. It will be staying in Canada and flying to the U.S. for its 3 group stage games, which the U.S.'s World Cup czar is essentially calling a goodwill gesture that Iran was able to fly in yesterday early for the tournament. There are some protesters outside of the venue protesting against Iran's regime. But interestingly enough, a symbol, something that has become a symbol of these protests, the pre-revolutionary flag in Iran with the lion and sun, not being allowed into those games. That has been banned by FIFA, which is sort of adding all to the political charge of all of this. And speaking of politically charged matches, Michelle, if both the U.S. and Iran finish second in the group stage, that will set up a game between Iran and the U.S. on July 3rd in Texas. So potentially sports diplomacy there, but also potentially a very tense game between these two countries, if that should come to be.
That would be very interesting. CTV's Renee Rogers keeping us up to date on all things World Cup. We appreciate it. Talk soon.
Talk soon.
The Prime Minister has arrived at the G7 summit in France. This follows a memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Iran on a framework intended to end the war. We'll have more on that in a few moments. But first, more on Mark Carney's itinerary. The PM is expected to meet with the President of the European Council and head of the European Commission before attending a working dinner on geopolitical and economic issues. U.S. President Donald Trump has also arrived at the summit. It's unclear if he and Carney will meet, but Canada's U.S. Trade Minister and his American counterpart are set to talk at the summit.
Federal officials say the toxic drug crisis in Canada continues to have devastating effects despite a decrease in opioid-related deaths last year. The national rate of toxicity deaths was down by 23% in 2025. That was due to factors such as naloxone distribution and changes to the drug supply. Opioid-related hospitalizations decreased by 12%, but there were more than 5,600 apparent opioid-related deaths last year, an average of 15 lives lost each day. The number was higher in 2025 than a decade ago when the crisis emerged. The federal government announced a plan last week to support small grocers to help lower prices for Canadians struggling to put food on the table.
CTV's Jeremy Chiron takes a closer look at the number to see if the strategy can really work.
In the grocery store aisles and at the checkout counter, Canadians are feeling the pinch.
Grocery prices are tough for everyone. Yeah. Across the board.
Especially with the prices going up like in every product.
The government's plan to lower those prices, announced this week, includes changes to help small independent players like this one better compete with industry giants.
The Canadian grocery market is controlled by, 2 or 3 of the big players. They squeeze out all the independents out because we're not able to compete.
Farmers Pick owner Alfonso Curcio has been in business for 30 years in Ottawa and says he'd welcome anything that could help level the playing field, but has some doubts.
That'll be great if I'm not paying it somewhere else through more taxes or whatever.
The government intends to change the way food is bought, sold, transported, and distributed in Canada, a strategy which is being backed by $3 billion of taxpayer money over the next decade. At least $1 billion of that going towards food terminals to help independent grocers compete with the bigger retailers.
It's really going to be good news for consumers because in the long term, when a lot of these things come on stream, they will make food more affordable for Canadians.
Thank you.
In the aisle at Farmers Pick, the idea of improving competition is welcome.
We need more competition, and we need to pay less at the checkout.
We're all reduced to the same box stores everywhere. It decreases our options, and it's all going to a higher level and not staying as local.
Meanwhile, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre blamed Liberal policies for prices being high in the first place.
Every couple of months, a Liberal minister goes out and promises affordable food. And what happens the next month? Food prices rise even more.
The government says 5 large retailers dominate 75% of Canada's grocery market, along with much of the system for distributing food. They believe changing that could play a key role in helping bring prices down. Jeremy Sharon, CTV News, Ottawa.
Turning to the war in the Middle East, U.S. and Iranian officials say they have reached a deal to end nearly 4 months of fighting.
The initial agreement would extend a shaky ceasefire and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. World leaders, including Prime Minister Mark Carney, are reacting.
Canada very much welcomes this progress. We'll have an opportunity starting from tonight at the G7 in Evian to see what we and other countries can do to help reinforce this important progress that's been made, and also from a broader regional perspective, including in Lebanon and beyond.
Few details of the agreement have been made public, but U.S. President Donald Trump says the Strait of Hormuz will be reopened by the end of the week. He's also ordered the end of an American blockade on Iranian ports. Iran has said it's expecting all fighting, including in Lebanon, to end tonight. The deal also opens a 60-day window for all negotiations. The memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Iran will be signed on Friday in Switzerland. And CTV's Judy Trin's been watching the latest developments and joins us live now from Ottawa with more. So, Judy, we heard reaction from Carney. What about the rest of the world? What's the global reaction to this deal?
Nathan, I would characterize it as cautious optimism, and the reason for that is that Donald Trump has made these assertions before that a deal was imminent. However, this time there is a little bit more hope because Iran is acknowledging that there is a memorandum of understanding. But Nathan, the devil is in the details, and the U.S. and Iran have not released the terms of this negotiations. All we've heard, as you've been reporting, is that it will be signed officially on Friday in Switzerland, and at that time the Strait of Hormuz will be reopened. But there is also, Nathan, some clarification that's needed. Donald Trump said the strait will be opened toll-free. That is not apparently the understanding that the Iranians have. The Iranians say that after this 60-day period in which they're going to negotiate a peace deal, they expect to be charging tolls for commercial traffic crossing through the strait. And that's because they know that they control it, that there is a lot of revenue to be made. After all, 20% of the world's global oil goes through this strait, Nathan.
Good point. And Judy, what about the major sticking points for both sides? What are they?
All right. Well, what is core to this deal is that Iran, the U.S. wants Iran, and global leaders want Iran to abide by a commitment to not produce military nuclear weapons. Well, what are the terms for that? The Iranians want economic sanctions lifted, and they also want, as I was saying, to be able to collect revenue. So they now are going to negotiate on these terms. However, there is also this wild card of what's going on in Lebanon. Israel was part of these initial attacks on Iran, which started on February 28th. Israel entered Lebanon to attack the proxy group Hezbollah. However, Israel is refusing to back off its military forces, to remove its military forces from Lebanon. And for global leaders, especially the G7 leaders, they say that is necessary for any peace deal to hold, is that Israel must remove its military forces from Lebanon. Nathan.
All right. Thanks so much for breaking it down. CTV's Judy Trin in Ottawa. Well, the MOU between the U.S. and Iran is having an immediate impact on world stock markets and oil prices. The S&P TSX Composite Index was up more than 300 points in morning trading. And on Wall Street, stocks of companies with big fuel bills were instant winners. Indexes also climbed in Asia and Europe. Stocks also got a lift after the price for a barrel of U.S. benchmark Brent crude oil fell nearly 5%. It's trading at just over $80 U.S. a barrel, and that's where it was in early March. The current price is lower than the $100+ just a few weeks ago. But even if the U.S.-Iran deal does reopen the Strait of Hormuz, it'll still take months for the energy industry to get back to full speed.
U.S. President Donald Trump marked his 80th birthday and America's 250th birthday by hosting an Ultimate Fighting Championship event on the White House lawn Sunday night. Roughly 4,300 guests packed the South Lawn to take in American Justin Gaethje, winning the UFC's lightweight championship in the main event. Another 85,000 fans watched from a nearby viewing area. The UFC reportedly spent about $60 million on this event, which was streamed exclusively on Paramount+.
Well, taking a look back at the weekend, Saturday was a scorcher, and then Sunday was a bit of a soaker. Here's a look at some of the rainfall totals that were recorded across our province. Port Weller, more than 70 millimeters of rain just in the one day, close to about 60 millimeters in places like Vineland and Hamilton. We had a fair amount of rain in Toronto, too, not quite that much. And we're watching for more in the way of active weather. Risk of thunderstorms starting tomorrow afternoon, and then a few rounds of rain or storms could move in for Wednesday and Thursday. Could impact the soccer game happening at Toronto Stadium. Could also impact watch parties when Team Canada plays again on Thursday. We'll take you through the 7-day forecast after the break.
All right, let's check in again with CTV Jessica Smith at Catrin in the Distillery District. Jess, they must be enjoying the game.
People really are loving it because you've got so many options. I think there are 50 screens across the Distillery District to watch all of these games. Right now, obviously, Spain and Cabo Verde doing their thing, still 0-0. And Spain has the 18-year-old phenom, which is Lamine Yamal, who everyone is kind of watching to see if he makes a big difference. But Alexis, I want to ask you, you're the GM of the restaurant. We were just talking before we came on camera about what it's been like to see the world coming to the city, but also all the different flags. How cool is it to see the world represented and coming here to watch the games, but also experience your culture through your food?
Wow. Well, first of all, it's very exciting that seeing a lot of people around the world coming to Catrin to have Mexican food, and me as Mexican trying to give all my passion, the culture and everything. Like being born in Mexico and built in Canada, and a lot of people from different countries with different flags, different T-shirts just to see the game. It's very exciting. And even if they don't speak the language, as soon as they just say taco, tequila, that's all they have to know.
It is an international language. I mean, obviously, we're watching another fantastic game right now. Spain is the heavy favorite, but I've seen people wearing all different types of jerseys representing all different types of countries. I think that's the best part. Is that what is so unifying about the sport, is the fact that you can be from anywhere and have a connection to it?
Yeah. So the connection is more likely because a lot of people are coming here just to watch the game. But at the same time, they're coming for food, for drinks. And what we actually do the best, I think, is just like all this scenario of having everybody here asking for food, asking for drinks, and enjoying the games, which is the most exciting part in here. Like enjoying the game and have a good ambiance in here.
It is, and I want to go talk to some of the fans. Alexis, thank you so much. Now, ladies, I have to ask you, I saw you repping in the jerseys, but what is it like to be here and be able to witness this in this kind of different atmosphere? Because there are screens everywhere here.
Yeah, honestly, it's so fun. I love everyone just getting together in the city. We're so good at that, to get together for games and things like that. So the spirit that's here and like, at all the places is just so amazing, and I love to cheer on Spain.
I was going to ask who you're representing today, but obviously cheering on Spain. But I feel like this is one of those things where you can come from anywhere, have any background, and have this unifying thing when it comes to soccer. Is that what it's kind of all about with this sport?
That's truly what it's all about. I have no Spanish heritage whatsoever, but I fell in love with the team back in its golden years when they won the Cup and the Euros in 2010 and 2012, and I've just stuck with them ever since, and this young team is great, so I'm really excited to see what they can do this year.
Listen, and shout out to Cabo Verde as well. It's a small country, but they're doing their best. Thank you so much. More to come. The game has really only just begun, but we'll send things right now back inside to the studio.
All right, thank you, Jess. Just a great location to watch the game, and I'm guessing for patio weather, you want maybe not too hot, like something like this, but maybe not shorts. I'm not sure.
You know what? I think you can make it work on a patio today because you're not going to be cooking while you're eating, having those tacos and tequila. And I think today's a day where maybe you want a sweater. It just depends. Like this morning was cool.
Maybe a layer under the jersey that could come in handy. But yeah, all systems go for patio weather today. We're not concerned about the threat of rain or the risk of thunderstorms, but that does change as the week goes on. And while our temperature will climb a little bit this week, we're going to remain overall a bit cooler than we were last week. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. We are going to begin with a live look from the Hotel X Toronto skyline camera, and that, of course, right there is Toronto Stadium. The eyes of the world were on this stadium on Friday. It was such an exciting day in our city, and of course, as we've mentioned, there are more games to come. So we're going to bring you some weather details for what you need to know for this week, and of course, throughout the duration of the World Cup. I do want to point out that the other host city in Canada, Vancouver, is already 23 degrees at this hour, and it is 9 o'clock in the morning. So there was record heat yesterday in parts of British Columbia. Here in the province of Ontario, a fresher feel overall compared to Saturday, Friday, Thursday of last week when it was so hot and humid. Most communities are hanging out in the teens, and we look to be through a good portion of this afternoon. Let's see if we can make it to our forecast daytime high of 21, which is actually also cooler than normal. So definitely a fresh day out there. Mix of sun and cloud. Again, don't have any weather concerns when it comes to evening sports or athletics. It's actually a great day with that low humidity. Head on out and enjoy. Light winds for the most part today, although they are coming out of the northwest. We're going to see the wind strengthen further into the day tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies tonight, single-digit lows in places. Look at Bancroft, 5 degrees. That's cool for this time of year. We are near normal for an overnight low in Toronto. And then tomorrow, 23 degrees is going to feel more like 25. So we're climbing back to seasonal, but we do, however, have the chance of showers and the risk of thunderstorms in the afternoon. It'll be a nice mix of sun and cloud kind of start to the day. That's what we're seeing right now on the satellite and radar. A little more cloud cover east end of the GTA, as well as generally speaking eastern Ontario. And there's some active weather in northwestern portions of the province. That's one area of low pressure that we're going to be watching this week for the arrival of some active weather. But I'll play this in motion here, the forecast radar, to show you not a lot of action until about tomorrow afternoon. So there's 2 p.m. Chance of some thunderstorms bubbling up, and then that threat of rain is going to continue through the overnight hours and early into Wednesday. Wednesday daytime should be mostly okay. A few spotty showers, and then overnight and into Thursday, more widespread rain, embedded thunderstorms possible with that. And then Thursday itself is looking like a cloudier, windier, and unsettled kind of day. So there's Wednesday, 23 degrees for the high. Overall, our temperatures are pretty consistent through this week. We should be back up around 25 degrees for Friday. Weekend looks pretty good. There's just a slight chance of a shower for both Friday and Saturday. Otherwise, mix of sun and cloud, and temperatures where we expect them to be this time of year. That's your look at the weather for now. Michelle, going to send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, the Carolina Hurricanes are Stanley Cup champions.
And they're going to clinch it appropriately with a total team effort and a shutout.
The Hurricanes beat the Vegas Golden Knights 3-0 in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals to win the series. This is the second time Carolina has won the Stanley Cup and the first time since 2006. Jordan Staal was awarded the Conn Smythe Trophy as the most valuable player in the playoffs.
Meanwhile, the Toronto Marlies and Chicago Wolves went to overtime in Game 2 of the Calder Cup Final.
Driving behind the net, tries a center, they score!
Logan Shaw scored just over 3.5 minutes into overtime to lift the Marlies to a 5-4 win. Toronto now leads the series 2-0. The teams will be back on the ice for Game 3 tomorrow night at the Coca-Cola Coliseum.
Still to come on CTV News at noon, working to tackle dementia in Ontario. We'll have more on a newly formed provincial task force when we come back.
For over a century,
century, Kensington Market has been this really vibrant hub shaped by waves of immigration, making it so diverse. And today, it's this really cool, walkable neighborhood that's got so much food, shopping, you have to come check it out. In the 19th century, immigrants from the British Isles transformed the land west of Spadina Avenue into a residential neighborhood, and so many of the storefronts still hide the Victorian brick homes they built across the city. St. Stephen's in the Fields is an inclusive community hub that hosts a number of concerts inside its historic space. In recent years, Kensington has become a hub for Latin American communities, and right along Augusta, you can get some of the most authentic food, including the tacos. You absolutely cannot skip out on the tacos. You also can't skip out on all the kind of hidden laneways that Kensington has. They have these large-scale murals that really tell the story of just how diverse the neighborhood is. In the 1960s, changes to Canada's immigration policy encouraged a number of Caribbean immigrants to make Toronto their home. Shout out to my dad who did just that in the 70s, and since then the Caribbean population has grown, and there are some great Caribbean food places right here in Kensington. Oh, and when it comes to vintage shopping, Kensington has some of the best options in the city. I like this one. On the last Sunday of every month, all these cars are out of the way. It's filled with food stands, performers, and just so much color and flavor that tells you what this neighborhood is all about. Canada's culture comes alive in Kensington. For more information, you can visit our website.
In the UK, children under 16 will be banned from using certain social media apps early next year. Those apps include Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube. The government says the move is intended to protect young people from harmful content and excessive screen time. As you might know, Canada recently introduced its own legislation that would force social media companies to block access for kids under 16. But some companies can obtain an exemption if they put adequate safeguard measures in place.
A newly formed Ontario Dementia Task Force is bringing together more than 35 organizations from across the province. The task force is working to create a coordinated care model for people living with dementia, as well as their care partners. The Alzheimer's Society of Ontario and the Brainwell Institute are leading the partnership. Officials say people struggling to navigate the current system have driven the creation of the task force, as many families wait years to receive a clear diagnosis. A shortage of family doctors is a concern across the country, but Nova Scotia is now reporting an influx of physicians.
CTV's Paul Hollingsworth has more on where they are coming from and why.
Nova Scotia hired 278 new doctors in the calendar year ending on March 31st. Taking into account practitioners who retired or left the province, that's a net gain of 199 new physicians, something Nova Scotia sorely needs.
It means more appointments, means more access to care, it means a stronger healthcare system.
Jim Dulesky is one of roughly 60,000 Nova Scotians on the wait list for a family doctor.
I'm on blood pressure meds now, and I was diagnosed with MS. So not having a doctor for me now is actually a problem.
Casting a wide net abroad has helped lure physicians to the province. And for those in need like Jim, 33 of the new hires alone are from the U.S. Premier Tim Houston says the recruitment strategy has included promoting the growth of Nova Scotia's healthcare system, which includes the new medical school at Cape Breton University.
We're offering that to them, and they're being attracted to it.
Showcasing the province as a nice place to live that offers a healthy work-life balance is also proving to be a selling point.
The more we can make physicians and other healthcare workers feel part of the community, the more likely they are to stay.
The president of Doctors Nova Scotia hopes to see further improvements to the quality of primary care by streamlining and expanding what is called the health home care model.
Health home care is working with other care providers, so nurse practitioners practitioners, social workers. We now have more physician assistants in this province, family practice nurses.
According to Dr. Amanda MacDonald Green, the best way to enhance these healthcare models is to hire even more doctors.
I think these are fantastic steps in the right direction.
A plan that's already on the Premier's agenda. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Still to come, a new survey from the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses finds a majority of small businesses feel they aren't getting enough support from Ottawa. We'll have the details when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
A new survey from the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses finds a majority of small businesses feel they are not getting enough support from Ottawa. 73% of respondents say the spring economic update did little to change their situation. 58% say they continue to feel pressure from rising fuel costs, while roughly 40% say economic uncertainty and other operating costs are making it difficult to do business. More than 50% of respondents say they would not recommend starting a business right now.
Canada Post has offered new details on who will no longer be getting mail delivered directly to their door.
They will instead have to visit a community mailbox. CTV's Adrian Gabriel has more on the reaction to the change.
The convenience of door-to-door Canada Post mail deliveries are quickly coming to an end for millions of Canadians. More of these community mailboxes are coming to a neighborhood near you.
These changes are very important to secure the future of the post office.
This week, Canada Post revealed its plans to build neighborhood mailboxes in an additional 37 Canadian communities, affecting more than 485,000 homes in 2027, as part of the Crown Corporation's plan to return to financial self-sustainability.
Canada Post says they're beginning by targeting neighborhoods where community mailboxes already exist nearby. Here in Ajax, Ontario is one example. Behind me, those homes are on the list to be converted. Across the street, there's a newer housing development, and centralized delivery already exists.
We are doing some groundwork right now to find the best site.
Accessibility, especially during winter months, are top priorities for urban planners.
There isn't a set of standards around how far is reasonable in terms of what is the distance that these mailboxes should be placed from homes.
For single-family dwellings in big cities, one planner believes building the boxes near public transit could be an option.
Bus stops already have to be, cleared of snow, cleared of ice.
About 75% of Canadians already receive their mail at a community mailbox or a centralized location, though the Crown Corporation still recorded a loss of $205 million in the first quarter of this year.
As Canadians, we have a say.
The plan to end door-to-door mail delivery simply doesn't sit well with postal worker Wasim Khan.
There is a solution to the fiscal problem of Canada Post, and it's not the short answer, lowest hanging fruit, which is cutting services to Canadians.
Khan says he and many of his Canada Post colleagues believe the Crown Corporation should be looking at more forward-thinking growth initiatives.
I think postal banking is a big solution. I think being able to provide same-day delivery could be a solution.
Though it appears the Postal Service's plans are already signed, sealed, and set to be delivered. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Ajax, Ontario.
You're watching CTV News at noon. More when we return, including how the weather's going to shape up this week. Stay with us. Before we go, let's check in with CTV's Jessica Smith one more time. Spain taking on Cabo Verde. It's halftime. No goals yet, Jess.
No goals yet, but lots of really close calls, and a lot of people excited and surprised because Cabo Verde is such a small country, a series of 9 islands actually, but it's their first time qualifying for the World Cup. They're one of 4 nations that are kind of in that same boat, but I want to bring in a fan here that's got extras to cheer for. Mary, I want to ask you, you're representing Panama, but also Spain at the same time. What is it like for you to be able to kind of come and watch Spain do their thing, but also be cheering for Panama on a different stage?
Well, this is my 4th World Cup I've attended, and it's really special to be with your country, with Panama in the 2nd World Cup. Of course, I support Spain since kid, but it's really excited. We are very excited to represent Panama here in Toronto. We have 2 games, first with Ghana, then with Croatia. and then in New Year with England. So it's going to be very, very fun. And to support Spain, we have won a World Cup and hope to have the second one.
What has it been like to see fans from around the world kind of coming into the city here from every single country, excited to not only cheer on where they're from, maybe where they have heritage, but also just to be in the city to celebrate a World Cup?
The World Cup unites people. It's like you cheer with people you don't know from different countries, different communities and the backgrounds, and it's very special. That's the beauty of this sport.
That's what I love. I'm going to let you get back to it. Thank you so much.
Bye.
We're going to be here at the watch party all day, but we'll send things back inside to the studio. But we're living our lives here on the patio at Catrin in Distillery District.
A perfect location. Of course, I'm cheering for Canada, but something about these smaller countries beating these big countries, these heavyweights. I'm enjoying that.
And it just shows how multicultural our city is. It's a melting pot, and it's fabulous.
Yeah.
And the weather, I mean, so far is cooperating.
I think we live in the best city when it comes to the World Cup because of all the different neighborhoods and cultural groups. And weather-wise, today's a pretty good day, too. We can't complain. It is a little cooler out there, a little fresh, mix of sun and cloud, though maybe mostly cloudy skies at times. Here's a look at what you can expect through the overnight hours tonight. It should be calm and quiet. 13 degrees for a low, which is near seasonal. Some areas north of here are going to experience a pretty chilly overnight with single-digit temperatures. Tomorrow, 23 degrees is likely to feel more like 25, but we do have a risk of thunderstorms popping up in the afternoon. And really over the next 3 days here, the opportunity for some active weather. Wednesday night, there is a game happening at Toronto Stadium. We're going to keep an eye on the forecast. Right now, it looks pretty good. However, it is worth pointing out that there's a chance of showers that day, too. And then Thursday, an unsettled day overall. Team Canada is playing that day in Vancouver, but no doubt there will be watch parties happening around our city. They just might be indoor watch parties, depending on how this all plays out. So this is one more look at the forecast radar. Calm and quiet today. There's the chance of showers and storms for tomorrow. And then overnight into Thursday, it looks like we could get some widespread rainfall and thunderstorms too. A quick glance at the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, slight chance of a shower, seasonal temperatures, and otherwise a mix of sun and cloud. It's looking pretty good. Nathan and Michelle.
Indeed. Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day.